Got my glasses? Check. Got my hat? Check. And I got the most important thing of them all. Thick skin. Check. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Bluted, home of the college football fan. So if you are a college football fan, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because that's all we do around here. And when you get a second, go check out the Patreon page. We have a lot of great perks over there. Also check out our revamped and redesigned website. Created by Joey Foster, we have 9 great writers, led by our 2 head writers, Michael Walker and Scotty B, the Baylor King. Alright, for those of you that have been around for a while, you know that I've been talking West Virginia to the ACC for about 10 months. A video here, a video there. Of course, I get told that I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have any real sources. Name your sources. All that awesome trash talk. And I like it. I love it. But it's starting to look like some things that I've told y'all was going to happen are actually going to happen. Like other people are starting to talk about it as well. One of my good friends and fellow YouTubers, Pigskin Peete, he made a video yesterday how the fairy tale of Notre Dame going to the ACC is no longer a fairy tale. That he's hearing real talk that the ACC is locking down Notre Dame. Not this year, maybe not 2023, but the year he's hearing is 2025. And what was one of the things that I told West Virginia fans as far as West Virginia going to the ACC? I said the ACC wants to bring West Virginia and Notre Dame. I didn't say that's what it hinged on. I said that's what they wanted to do. And the party that we have not been hearing from was Notre Dame. And you know, of course, looking into the situation, it looks like there is no way Notre Dame would join the ACC. The ACC has the weakest TV contract out of all the Power 5 conferences. The Pac-12 is about to renegotiate their TV deal, and that'll probably bury the current ACC TV contract. So how in the world would this be possible? The only thing that I can figure out that would make Notre Dame to the ACC possible is if somehow it could create some type of loophole to renegotiate that TV contract. Because I promise you one thing, Notre Dame would not join the ACC if the contract was locked in, can't change no matter what until 2036. I think ACC schools make only like $36 million a year. That is chump change to everybody else. Even the new Big 12 TV deal is over $40 billion. And that's not all that much, but that's more than what they were making, and it's definitely more than what the ACC is making. In fact, the Big 12 is projected to make $50 million per team by 2025. That would be $14 million more than every team in the ACC. So it seems to me like the Big 12 is trying to lock down West Virginia. They don't want West Virginia going anywhere. Now, for West Virginia to go to the ACC, I think it has to be a better TV deal than what it is now. Honestly, I thought the Big 12 TV deal was actually going to go down because of Oklahoma and Texas. I think we all thought that, but it actually went up. So that's mind-blowing. So that would make it more difficult for the ACC to get West Virginia, in my opinion. So the potential dominoes that I see falling are the ACC has found a way that if they do somehow get Notre Dame, that would give them the opportunity to renegotiate the TV deal, because that's the only way that they get Notre Dame and West Virginia. And think about Notre Dame. They're in a spot to where they could join the SEC if they wanted to. They could join the Big 10 if they wanted to. They could join, of course, the ACC if they wanted to. The Big 12 if they wanted to. Even the Pac-12 isn't that far of a stretch for Notre Dame. I mean, they already play USC every stinking year. So Notre Dame's options are any of the Power 5. And if you think about it beyond the money thing, this does make sense both for Notre Dame and the ACC. It helps them both. The ACC is looking to fend off any of the other power conferences from picking any of their members off. They're in danger of that. That's a bad TV deal. But it also benefits Notre Dame because it's an easier path to the playoffs. If Notre Dame were to join the SEC, yeah, they'd probably make more money, but the path to the playoffs would be brutal. Same with the Big 10. So this would actually help both Notre Dame and the ACC. Now, I do know one thing, that in Notre Dame's contract with the ACC, where they're a full-time member in every other sport besides football, it does say if Notre Dame does join a conference before 2036, it has to be the ACC. But I'm sure there's some type of buyout that Notre Dame could afford. So I really don't count that. That doesn't mean anything. So the only thing that makes sense to me is the ACC has found a way to where they could renegotiate that TV deal and they could bring in Notre Dame and West Virginia. And the reason 2025 is the target date is I think that's when Notre Dame's contract with NBC expires. So they're going to have to renegotiate that as well, which I'm not worried about that. Neither should Notre Dame fans. That'll probably go up even more. So maybe they're expecting a big bump in the NBC TV contract, and they know that the negotiations for a new TV deal for the ACC is going to be made possible if the ACC does get Notre Dame and West Virginia. The ACC probably has to agree that Notre Dame can keep all that NBC money. I don't see any way Notre Dame joining the ACC if they're forced to share the NBC money. I just don't see it happening. Notre Dame is one of the biggest brands in college football right now. They're one of the brands that makes the most money in college football right now. And they're one of the most successful college football brands right now. So they can do whatever they want. Something has to be big to draw Notre Dame in. So that's the only thing I can figure out is the ACC has figured out a way, hey, we know we can renegotiate the TV deal if we can get Notre Dame fully locked down. And if that's the direction, then they're bringing in West Virginia. And that TV deal is going to be higher than the $50 million a year that West Virginia would be making in the Big 12 by 2025. Remember, the new GOR for the Big 12 has to be signed in 2025. That's when the Big 12 is projected to be making $50 million a team. So in order for West Virginia to leave, the ACC would probably have to be making more than $50 million a team. So there's got to be a way that the ACC's figured out that they can renegotiate. Maybe there's a clause that says, hey, if you add more members, we can come back to the table and discuss the numbers. That's the only thing that I figure could possibly happen by accepting Notre Dame and West Virginia. Otherwise, I don't think those two teams would even consider the ACC. I really don't. The TV contract they're in, it is not good at all. So the year to look out for all this stuff to go down is 2025. It's when Notre Dame's current TV deal is up, so they'll renegotiate that. It's when the Big 12 grant of rights deal is up. The West Virginia will have to sign or not sign by 2025. The year 2025 is the year to be watching if you're a Notre Dame fan or a West Virginia fan. So most likely what's going to happen is Notre Dame and West Virginia going to the ACC together. Now, what does the Big 12 do whenever West Virginia leaves? Well, maybe that's why they're thinking about Memphis or Boise State. Remember, Memphis and Boise State, out of the blue, have decided to renovate their stadiums and put money into their sports programs to attract Power 5 conferences. Why would they do that out of the blue? They know something. They know there's going to be a spot open, or maybe they know that the Big 12 wants to expand beyond the 12 teams that they're going to have now. So one of those things is going to happen. Well, if West Virginia leaves the Big 12, then the Big 12 will be looking for replacement. And the two teams that would most likely make the most sense, because I don't see the Big 12 grabbing a team from another Power 5 conference, would be Memphis and Boise State. And lo and behold, those two programs are shelling out money to their sports programs, hoping to get an invite to a Power 5 conference. Something big's about to happen with the ACC and the Big 12. Y'all let me know in the comments section what you think about this situation. I know I've been talking about it for a while, but now other people are starting to talk about it as well. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you on the next show.